Hey, what's up everybody? It is Uncle Mad here today, and we are upon, I don't know how to say this phrase I'm about to say, a night of a million stars is upon us. This Sunday, March the 12th, Hollywood's grandest night, the Oscars. Yes, it's true, the Oscars are here, and today, in today's video, I am going to predict who is going to win every single Oscar, even though I don't think I've seen a single movie that's nominated for the Oscars, which is absolutely insane because I used to be an Oscars fanatic. I used to make sure I saw every single nominated movie every single year and just would love to watch the ceremony, would love to see if the movie that I picked out that I thought was the best movie of the year, I thought was the best acting performance, was going to win. And I don't know what happened. Somewhere over time it just feels like the Oscars just got away from, I don't know if it was the movie industry itself stopped making the kind of movies I liked that would get nominated for Oscars, or if Oscars were started to just always go to movies that just weren't my style, weren't my interest. I don't know, maybe I'm just 100 years old and this is all old man yelling at clouds, but I had this plan. I was going to do a series of videos building up to the Oscars where I watched all the movies, or as many of the movies as I could that were nominated, do a review of each one, and then do a predictions. But every time I'd sit there and look at the list of movies and say, okay, do I want to take 2.5 hours out of my day to watch one of these? I just was not really. So, I mean, out of the candidates this year, I would say there was one movie I really wanted to see, and there was maybe two movies that I kind of wanted to see. And the one movie that I really wanted to see was the hardest to find. And that movie was The Whale, the Brendan Fraser, Darren Aronofsky film that came out last year about a obese man and the struggles he goes through with his family. It was, in a very limited release. We had it in a few theaters here in Nashville. A friend of mine went and saw it at the... Why did my brain just go dead? What's that old, art house theater we have here? Okay. It's not good. Let's go to the doctor. Anyway, he raved about it, said I had to see it, but it didn't come out on streaming for a while. It wasn't really something that Jess was interested to see, so it's available now for digital purchase, but at this point I'm do I want to pay $20, to get it on YouTube TV or something like that? Not really, but I'll have to see it eventually. I definitely want to see it eventually. And the only other two that I can really think of off the list that are I kind of want to see it, but I'm not necessarily going to go out of my way to see it, were Steven Spielberg's new movie, The Fabelmans, and the multiverse weird time hopping movie Everywhere All the Time All at Once. I probably just messed up the name of that too, so there you go. That's, tells you what my level of interest in the Oscar level movies this year is. I think, in fact, maybe the only movie I saw that's got a major Oscar nomination this year was Top Gun Maverick, and there's been a lot of people talking about how Top Gun Maverick maybe saved the movie industry by getting people back into cinemas after movie theaters were largely abandoned during COVID because it was, for whatever reason, the weirdest place that we just didn't want to be crammed into a room with infected people for 2.5, 3 hours, supposedly. But you go back and watch my early videos, I went back to movie theaters as soon as you could. I went and saw Tenet at Opry Mills Mall the day they showed the first movie back, of that being the first movie that came back out. So it wasn't necessarily that I was ever worried about going to movie theaters. Just I don't know, the movies, I feel taking the time to go to the theater for I'm not getting that motivated to go do stuff. I actually was trying to look back and see what all I actually watched this year. So I looked up the top box office movies of 2022 because I figured this would be the best way to kind of go through, because I only really saw stuff that probably was big release type things. I don't think I didn't go see The Whale. I didn't go see Everywhere, Everything, all the time, every day, twice a week, all at once in theaters. I only went and saw Marvel movies and stuff like that. So I went through number one, Avatar: The Way of Water. I did not see that, and there's about a few movies that came out that you asked me a year ago, are you gonna go see this when it comes out? I would have said yes, but they came out at a time where I was busy or whatever and couldn't go. And then by the time maybe I was free, it'd been out for a week or two, and the reviews were either, for some of these movies, bad, or I think in the case of Avatar, but it's visually stunning, it's fine, but it's there. It's not the first one that blew people away and any kind of spectacular cinematic achievement like the first one was. The fact that it's not really got that many Oscar nominations compared to the first one is kind of telling of that. So I just missed that. It came out, it came and it went, and it just didn't seem like people were raving about it, so it never like came up on my radar. It's like, I gotta go see this, so I never did. Top Gun Maverick, I think I saw it twice in theaters. I saw it once with Jessica, and I think my mom wanted to go see it, so we went and saw it together. And my dad too, I don't know why I left him out of that. 3 is Jurassic World Dominion. I did see that, but I have almost no recollection of it. I don't remember that. That was just a passing thing of the night. I remember, like, that tells you that. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, that seems like it came out 100 years ago. I can't believe it came out in 2022, but it was, you know, decent. Minions Rise of Gru, haven't seen any of those movies. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, same kind of thing as Avatar. When it came out, I didn't have time to go see it, and then, like, it had been out for a week or two, and it didn't seem to have the rave, freak out reviews, like, oh, you gotta see this the way the first one did. So I was like, I'll just catch it when it comes to Disney Plus. It's been on Disney Plus for over a month, and I still haven't watched it, just because every time I'm like, oh, maybe I'll queue up Black Panther. And then I'm like, do I really want to watch a movie for 2.5 hours, or would I rather watch like 30-minute Disney videos on YouTube, or watch professional wrestling, or a soccer match, or something like that? I just haven't found that motivation to sit down for 2.5 hours and watch Black Panther. The Batman, I saw that. I watched it twice. The longest, like, darkest movie of the year I somehow watched twice. Thor Love and Thunder, once again, just okay, but I was really excited about it coming off of Ragnarok, so we went and saw it pretty much right when it came out. That's kind of the key here, is I almost have to see these movies right when they come out, and or I just, you know, if it doesn't get just like rave reviews and everybody's like freaking out about it, I don't really get the motivation to go see it. Watergate Bridge, Moon Man, Puss in Boots. Apparently there was a Fantastic Beast movie this year. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Uncharted, Black Adam, Elvis, The Bad Guys, Bullet Train, Lightyear, Smile. Yeah, I didn't see a whole lot of movies this year. So I'm the perfect person to give you the Oscar predictions for the 95th ceremony. Somebody who's basically seen no movies this year. Crazy. And I feel like every time Oscars has tried to like steer more into like relevancy, or at least trying to like steer into like having more entertaining films represented, more broad, you know, widely seen movie represented, they've always pushed it. Like they tried a million times since like everybody said that like The Dark Knight getting not being nominated for Best Picture was like the biggest snub of all time. It seems like they've tried a million different ways to like course correct. Like they said, oh, we'll do 10 nominations, or oh, we'll just do an arbitrary amount of nominations. I think Black Panther is like the only kind of genre movie that snuck into getting any kind of nomination in the era since The Dark Knight, so it really hasn't worked. Last year, I think it was, they tried to do like a fan vote, what's the best, you know, in-theater cinematic moment of all time, and like trolls online stole the poll and voted for it being like the terrible Justice League movie when the Flash is running through the Speed Force or something like that, is over Avengers Endgame, the insanity of that, like, you know, movie, which I probably watched Avengers Endgame more in 2022 than I watched new movies that came out in 2022. Whatever. Feels like Top Gun Maverick got a nomination to try to acknowledge, you know, the fact that it was a huge hit, the fact that it was seemingly the movie that brought people back to theaters in droves and maybe sparked and saved the music industry. I believe, or music industry, the movie industry. I think Steven Spielberg, like a couple weeks ago at one of the other award ceremonies, was caught on camera like thanking Tom Cruise for saving movies with that movie. So felt like that just is kind of a token nomination for it. I don't think it's really, in any shape, form, or fashion, one of the best movies that came out last year. I mean, it was one of the most entertaining movies that came out last year, but that's not really how Oscars tends to grade things, and maybe that's how they should grade things. Maybe instead of like, oh, this artistic, beautiful piece of cinematic achievement was so wonderful, maybe like, this movie was crazy entertaining. I was on the edge of my seat for 2 hours. Tom Cruise, oozing charisma, and is just electric. He didn't get nominated for Best Actor. He's just playing himself in the movie. I mean, it's not like he put on any kind of crazy performance, but I mean, if ever there was a movie that you could throw Tom Cruise a bone and give him like an Oscar nomination at this point in his career, it was probably this one. Anyway, Old Man Yellow Clouds, rambling. Let's get into this. Let's go through them. I'm reading these right off the Oscar website. We're starting out with Actor in a Leading Role. The nominees are Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, Bill Nighy from Living. It's just a murderer's row of crazy fun movies. I think at one point in time, Brendan Fraser probably would have been the favorite for this. He may still be, but it felt like that kind of momentum that was coming off, like the celebration of him returning to Hollywood and kind of getting back into the spotlight, has faded maybe a little bit. You know, it seems like it was a little too early. You know, you need that kind of muster a little closer to the ceremony, you know. I think I might, you know what, I'm going to predict Austin Butler is going to win here, because I feel like this could be a thing where the Oscars wants to christen him as like a new star on the rise, and Elvis is a very shiny, Hollywoody movie the way it was made, from what I've seen of commercials that I've seen of it on TV and what I've heard other people say about it who've actually seen it. And I also feel like one thing that could go against Brendan Fraser, and this is not fair, but I almost think like, if you know the story behind some of the reason he kind of faded out of Hollywood was he kind of got blacklisted for refusing the advances of a high-level Hollywood industry producer or something like that, and it kind of led to him getting a little bit blacklisted. So I almost feel like the Oscars might not want to shine a light on that kind of dark situation, and they might avoid giving him an award to avoid that being a continuing piece of the news cycle. And I could see them really wanting to christen a new star. Austin Butler is the new hotness. So I'm saying Austin Butler, Best Actor win for Elvis. Actor in a supporting role, Brendan Gleeson for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan for The Banshees of Inisherin, Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, okay, I think that's probably the first time I read that correctly. It seems like Everything Everywhere All at Once is kind of the hot topic coming into this one. I've heard a lot of people saying that it's one of the favorites to win a lot of stuff. But I can also see that this being like the one where like everybody who's seen it like really likes it, everybody who like thinks it's gonna be really good, but it's because it's like almost like a weird genre movie that snuck into the Oscars. It's like a story like about like traveling through the multiverse and experiencing different lives type thing. That might actually secretly turn off the actual Oscar voters, whereas the people who are just kind of analyzing it and breaking it down and predicting it really like it. It might be something just because it's too weird for real Oscar voters that they steer away from it. And I could see them very easily going something weird here and like wanting to honor like an old stalwart, like a great character actor, a guy who's been around and done a million things. I could see Judd Hirsch winning this for The Fabelmans. Having not seen any of these movies, that will be my prediction. Judd Hirsch, actor in a supporting role for The Fabelmans. Actress in a leading role. Nominees: Cate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde. Oh, I did try to watch Blonde and I turned it off after like 5 minutes because it was so horrible. So that's like the first kind of movie I actually almost saw on this list. Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think a lot of people think Michelle Yeoh is going to win this. I think it's going to be Cate Blanchett, because I think I heard somebody compare Tar to Whiplash and say they're very similar movies. That worked out pretty well for J.K. Simmons, so I'm predicting Cate Blanchett wins for Tar. Best Actress in a Leading Role. Best Actress in a Supporting Role. Nominees: Angela Bassett, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Hong Chow, The Whale, Carrie Condon, The Banshees of Inisherin. That's got a lot of nominations. Maybe I should add that to the list of ones I might try to see. Jamie Lee Curtis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephen Hsu, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I could almost see them going with Jamie Lee Curtis, just to, once again, kind of the same as the Judd Hirsch thing, honoring kind of a legend. But with two people nominated from the same movie, I wonder if that splits the votes here at all, because I know Stephen Hsu is also someone that a lot of people have picked to potentially win here. I could see the Oscars voters feeling like they made a mistake when they didn't give Chadwick Boseman the posthumous Oscar after he had passed away. Like, they even put like Best Actor at the very end of that ceremony because everybody thought he was going to win it. That was going to be the big kind of capper of the night, was that award for him. And then it went to like Anthony Hopkins for some movie that nobody ever heard of. So I could see there being like a little like a makeup call on this one, where the voters will throw their votes to Angela Bassett, almost like as a even though it's not like he wasn't nominated for Black Panther. I could just see there being a connective tissue that voters would make where they'd say, let's throw some votes to Angela Bassett. We made a mistake on the Chadwick Boseman one. This could be a weird kind of roundabout way to kind of make that right. So I'm predicting Best Supporting Actress, Angela Bassett. Animated feature film, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, Turning Red. Wow. Did we not have like a Pixar movie last year? Because Turning Red was like a Disney movie. It wasn't a Pixar movie. Or was it a Pixar movie? I don't know. Didn't see any of these. I know Marcel the Shell is really funny and people love that, so I'm predicting that. Cinematography. I'm just going to skip these. I'm going to go to like some of the more main ones. Directing. Nominees: The Banshees of Inisherin, Martin McDonough, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, The Fabelmans, Steven Spielberg, Tar, Todd Field, Triangle of Sadness. That just sounds like who would ever want to see a movie called Triangle of Sadness? I'm sure it's a great film, but that just, the title bummed me out. I'm gonna say Steven Spielberg, because this feels like the type of movie Oscars love to, celebrate, whether it's good or not. It's a semi-autobiographical film by one of like the legacy best directors in the game. I totally see this as a total spot where they would throw a bone to Steven Spielberg, even maybe if it's not the best directing job of the year, not even close to the best directing job of his career. I'm predicting Steven Spielberg wins for The Fabelmans for best directing. Skipping a bunch of these because I haven't even seen these movies without predicting these. All right, I'm not going to do screenplay. Let's just wrap it up. Let's go to the big one. Best Picture. Who's going to win for Best Picture? All Quiet on the Western Front. I think that movie came out in like 1945, so I don't know why it's nominated this year. Avatar: The Way of Water. Oh, I said earlier that Avatar didn't have any nominations, and here it is for Best Picture. Once again, I am so ill-informed on this, but this is the best prediction show you'll ever see for the Oscars. The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness again. Ugh. And Women Talking. I think this is a two-horse race. I think a lot of the things I said for The Fabelmans in saying that Steven Spielberg would win for Best Director apply to it as a movie for Best Picture as well. But I could also see the voters, if they do pass up a lot of the acting, writing, and directing nominations that Everything Everywhere All at Once has said, this could be where they kind of circle back and say, well, it was a really good movie. It was, really well made. It was very entertaining. It does deserve the honor. So it's one of those where, like, it weirdly doesn't win a lot of the smaller categories, but somehow circles back and wins Best Picture. So that's my prediction. Everything Everywhere All at Once will win Best Picture at the 95th Oscar ceremonies. And let me just scroll through these, see if there's anything else worth talking about predicting. I'm not going to do the screenplays because I haven't seen the movie, so I can't even talk if the writing or script was good. Which I really can't talk if anything was good because, once again, I haven't seen any of these. But that's it. I'm going to wrap it up there. Best Picture, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm going to try to see that eventually. I'm going to try to see The Whale eventually. Maybe The Banshees of Inisherin, because I like everybody who's involved with that. Probably The Fabelmans. If I can find it at some point in time, I'll watch it just for the heck of it, because I've always enjoyed Steven Spielberg's work, and I'm sure it's a perfectly warm and fuzzy, entertaining film. But next year, I'm going to try to do better. I'm going to try to get back to watching a lot more of the nominated films, watching a lot more of the films that are in the mix to be nominated, because I want to get back to that. I used to love the Oscar ceremony watching, but like I said, Triangle of Sadness, that just sounds like, I have no idea what it's about. I have no idea who's in it. I have nothing about it, but I read that title and I was like, this is what's wrong with the Oscars, is that this is a movie that's nominated multiple times, because, you don't have to nominate Jurassic World Dominion for, an Oscar, but and maybe this will kind of course correct as people start going back to the theaters more and more. Or maybe it won't, because so much of the stuff that used to be theatrical releases is all going to streaming now. I don't know. The movie industry's crazy, but I've just told you who's going to win all the Oscars. If you're somewhere where you can place bets on this, some places will legally allow you to bet on the Oscars. Take my picks. I guarantee they're going to be good. But stay tuned. I may just do film reviews throughout the year. If I do go see movies, I'll probably do a vlog where I just review the movie I saw. That way I can, an extra motivation to go see movies, to give content to the channel. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel with the bell turned on for notifications. So if I ever go see a movie, I'll tell you about it. And you'll find out when you get the little notification on your iPhone or desktop or wherever you get notifications at, iPads, all those places where notifications go. It'll say, hey, Uncle Matt just posted his review of Triangle of Sadness Part 2, Revenge of the Depression. Don't miss a single vlog. There's more to come. Whew. Tomorrow night, probably doing our usual Friday night live stream. We've got a Nashville SC match to preview. We've got, a weekend of stuff. There's other stuff going on this weekend, probably. I don't know. Tune into the live stream tomorrow night. That's how you'll find out what's going on this weekend, because I'm going to tell you. Once again, bell on for notifications so you get alerted when I go live. Don't miss anything. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the Oscars. Good job, cinema. Come on, Brendan Fraser. This is my guy. I'm rooting for him, even though I predicted he would lose.